outside very select things, there is nothing Trump can get through the House or the Senate because these majorities, they're just too small. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back in with a new video, and I hope everyone is having a great day. I'm having a great day myself. And before we get into it, don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends, and of course, join the channel today. These are all great ways to support the daily content, but enough of the promotional stuff, let's get into it. Because we have to talk about the Republican majority, because let's be honest. Despite the fact that Trump had a big victory in November, he won the popular vote, won all the swing states, expanded the map, despite all of that, the Republicans really did not get that big of a majority in November. Like, yeah, they took back the Senate, and yeah, they kept the House, but these majorities, especially in the House, are so small that there was a lot of speculation that, hey, these are such small majorities that outside very select things, there is nothing Trump can get through the House or the Senate because these majorities, they're just too small. Well, that was the speculation going into this presidency. And well, it seems like that philosophy might be changing because there's been one X factor that not enough people had talked about going into this Congress. And of course, I am talking about the Democrats. And I know that sounds crazy because for years, especially the Trump era, every single Democrat voted against everything Trump pushed, outside of some very specific things. Basically, every Democrat was hardline nose on every single issue, no matter what. Well, that might be changing. Now, I want to be clear that I am not saying the Democrats are going to flip the Republican Party. Like, there was speculation that maybe John Fetterman or Henry Cuellar or Jared Golden, they would become Republicans, but that's not going to happen. In fact, John Fetterman has already said, no, I'm not going to switch parties. It's not going to happen. And if somehow I did switch to become a Republican, I would actually make a pretty bad Republican. That's what Fetterman said. So I am not saying that we're going to see all these Democrats magically become Republicans. Now, is it possible? I guess. But as of now, I am not saying that, yeah, you're going to see 15 Democrats become Republicans tomorrow. That's not going to happen. But what I am saying, however, is there are a bunch of Democrats that might actually have fairly moderate voting records. And the reason for that is simple. 2024 happened, and Donald Trump won every single swing state, not just by a tiny margin. States like Arizona, he crushed Harrison. He won places like Pennsylvania by 2, won Michigan by 1.5, Nevada by 3. He won these swing states by quite a bit, considering the fact that everyone was saying, oh, Trump's gonna lose Michigan, he's gonna lose Pennsylvania. Yeah, that didn't happen. But the critical thing is Trump won these states, and he won a bunch of House seats that Democrats won down ballot. And that's a big deal because these Democrats, they're now in Trump states. They're in states that voted for Trump by quite a bit. And if they want to keep their jobs in a couple of years, like Jon Ossoff in Georgia, well, he better have a somewhat moderate voting record because guess what? He might be screwed in a couple of years. Same thing with Democrats in Arizona, now Nevada. This is the biggest impact of Trump's victory in 2024. It's a fact that Democrats now, they have senators in fairly Republican states now that they can't say, well, actually, Kamala Harris won Georgia by a point, so I can have whatever voting record I want to have. No, you're in a Trump state now. You are forced to have a somewhat reasonable voting record if you want to survive. And now, we're actually seeing this play out in real time. Look at the Laken Riley Act. You had Democrats in every single swing state, except, funny enough, Tammy Baldwin in Wisconsin, vote in favor of the Laken Riley Act. Yeah, you had people like Jon Ossoff, Mark Kelly, Gary Peters, all of them, all the swing states, they voted for the Laken Riley Act. And even states like New Hampshire, Virginia, you had Democrats there voting yes. Yeah, Virginia, New Hampshire, a couple of years ago, no one, and I mean no one, would say, yeah, New Hampshire and Virginia were swing states. And I'm not saying these states are, especially Virginia, I'm not saying that state's really a swing state, But in 2024, Trump did way better in Virginia and especially New Hampshire. This came out of nowhere. Trump nearly actually carried New Hampshire, fun enough. He lost it by only 3. So he did very good in the state, even though no one thought that it was going to be remotely close. And that's the biggest thing now. Democrats in these states, they actually have to have decent voting records if they want to survive. Because if they don't, well, they might be in deep trouble, especially in places like Arizona, places like Nevada, states that Trump won by 3, 4, 5, 6 points in 2024. That's a big reason. I really believe that while you're not going to see Democrats vote in line with Trump on everything, that's not going to happen, you are going to see Democrats, they're going to at least try to work with Trump. Like people like Mark Kelly, people like even John Fetterman, which we'll get to him in a second. They will work with Trump on specific things. Will it be on everything? No. But on things like the Laken-Riley Act, yeah, these Democrats are forced to work with Trump. Now, you could argue, well, yeah, it's nice to see Democrats, at least in the Senate, working with Trump, but well, we have a big problem. Look at the House majority. We have like a 2-seat majority, and now we have vacancies with Matt Gaetz and a few others. It's like, yeah, we have a very small majority. That's not good. Well, it's not just the Senate. In 2024, Trump won like, I think, 20 House seats that Democrats won down ballot. And that means there's a bunch of Democrats in Trump seats. And that means they have to actually work with Trump. And we're already seeing that with people like Perez of Washington and Jared Golden of Maine. In fact, they just announced, yeah, we support the Remain in Mexico immigration bill. Yeah, the Remain in Mexico bill, which Democrats for years were opposed to it. Now you have Democrats in these Republican seats. They support it. Now, do they actually support it? I don't know. But politically, they're saying, yeah, we are supporting the Remain in Mexico bill. And that's because they are in Trump seats. They're in seats that they could actually lose in. So it's not just the Senate. We actually might get some breathing room in the House from Democrats like Perez, Golden, Henry Cuellar, even the guy from New York, Swansea. I mean, these are Democrats that are in fairly Trump seats that realized, oh, wait, we only won because of Republican incompetence down ballot. We cannot rely on just Republicans sucking every year to barely win. I should probably have a moderate voting record if I want to survive. And this is even extending to Democrats in New Hampshire. It's like, wait, yeah, Trump lost New Hampshire now, was it by a close margin? Yeah, for New Hampshire standards, losing it by 3 is a miracle for Trump. But you have Democrats in New Hampshire worried about re-election. It's like, if you're worried in New Hampshire, what do you think's happening in states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia? It's an utter disaster. So Democrats, they are forced to work with Trump on certain things. And there is really one Democrat I want to focus on the most. John Fetterman of Pennsylvania. And like I said, I am not saying he's going to flip parties. I still think at the end of the day, he will be a Democrat come re-election in 2028. All right, that's going to probably happen. And even John Fetterman himself confirmed that as of now, he is not switching. But I do think John Fetterman, of all people, might actually have the most bipartisan voting record of any Democrat in the Senate. Now, does that mean he's going to be voting in line 90% of the time? No. But at the bare minimum, it seems like he's going to actually work with Trump on most issues. Not just one issue to say, oh, well, I worked with him on, I don't know, foreign aid to Israel or something. No, he's actually going to work with Trump on a bunch of things. And in fact, we're actually seeing this right now. Now, for those that don't know, there was a vote in the Senate yesterday to advance the confirmation of Pete Hegseth. Now, this is not the final vote. This is just a motion to agree to actually proceed with the final vote. And every single Republican that did vote voted yes. And every single Democrat voted no. Except for one. There was one Democrat that voted yes to proceed with Pete Hegseth's nomination. John Fetterman. Now, does this mean he will support Pete Hegseth in a final vote? I still doubt it. But right now, John Fetterman voted for Pete Hegseth. Imagine saying that just a couple weeks ago, a couple days ago. I mean, Pete Hegseth is by far the most controversial pick because people like RFK and Tulsi Gabbard, they still have ties with some Democrats like Bernie Sanders. They're liked by people like John Fetterman, for example. Well, Pete Hegseth is very controversial. People don't really like him, especially on the Democrat side. But John Fetterman is saying, screw it. I'm going to vote yes to advance the nomination. Now, again, that doesn't mean he's going to vote for Pete Hegseth on the final vote, but he's at least voting on some things that matter. It's not just some random bill that no one ever heard about. No, it's a critical vote for a nomination that a lot of people are saying is not going to happen. I mean, that's a big freaking deal that Fetterman is voting yes. Will it continue? Possibly. Maybe it doesn't. But I do think this kind of confirms that Fetterman is somewhat serious about being kind of bipartisan. Because why would he vote yes on this? Like, this is kind of a big vote, and I know it would have passed either way, but the fact he's even voting yes on Pete Hegseth's nomination to be advanced, that's a big win for him, and I'm glad that he's actually kind of being a bipartisan Dem. Imagine saying that a couple years ago. John Fetterman was seen as a progressive Dem like 5 years ago. But no, there's a good chance that John Fetterman could have one of the more bipartisan voting records of any Democrat, which would be amazing if that happens, because that gives us some breathing room in the Senate. If people like Susan Collins can't vote for something, or even like if Murkowski pulls her games, we have John Fetterman every once in a while saying, you know what, I'll vote yes on this. I'm going to vote yes. And let's be honest, the only reason he's voting yes is because he's in Pennsylvania. If it wasn't for that, he might still have a kind of more moderate record, but he would not be voting yes to confirm Pete Hegseth, or at least to advance it. I mean, I just cannot believe that this is a real vote. Now, will it continue? That's a big question. But I do think at the end of the day, while the Republican majority is small, I do think on the majority of things, Trump is going to be able to get a lot of stuff done through the Senate, through the House. Not just one single tax reform and that's it. No, he's actually going to get stuff done in Congress because he still has a majority, and he has Democrats in a bunch of Trump seats that have to vote in line with him or they're screwed. So it's a win for Trump, and it's a win for the Republican majority. Even though they have a 2-seat majority in the House, they could actually get some stuff done, which is amazing. That's a good thing, that we can have some confidence that, okay, we may not get every single thing we want through the House done, but at the bare minimum, we get a good chunk of it. We get stuff we really need badly because Democrats are forced to vote yes on a bunch of these issues. So we shall see what happens, because it is early. Maybe it's John Fetterman pulling a fast one, and 5 minutes later he says, oh, actually, I'm going to be a progressive Dem throughout this entire term. Because technically he could. He could just be a partisan Dem throughout this entire term. But I have a feeling that he's going to sometimes vote in line with the GOP. Now, Democrats already talking about primarying Fetterman out. Hey, go ahead. If you're that dumb to primary out Fetterman, who won by 5, and I know that was because of unique circumstances, but John Fetterman, he won in 22, right? And I know that was a midterm, that was a weird election, but he still won. While Bob Casey, despite being a longtime incumbent, lost. So, go ahead. If you think John Fetterman's that weak of a candidate, just go ahead and see what happens when you primary out a senator. It doesn't end well, by the way. If you primary out someone like Fetterman, it tends to go awful for that party. But anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.